we've got some good news. The midterms are, of course, very close, 4 days out from the midterm elections. Now, there is a razor-thin margin within the Texas Senate race. Now, just the fact that this Texas Senate race is this close in the first place is already a dub. So the idea that if O'Rourke loses, it's an L, it's not an L, because in Texas, for a Senate race to be this razor thin in the first place is a dub. But I still think O'Rourke can win. So here is a poll. This is an article from The Hill. It says, poll, Cruz leads O'Rourke by 3 points in Texas Senate race. That's right. This poll says that Ted Cruz leads by only 3. So not only is this such a razor-thin margin so short out of the midterms, but on top of that, if you look at the data from the polls, basically the margin between O'Rourke and Cruz has been becoming smaller. So we see this trend going on. Now, The Hill says Texas Senator Ted Cruz holds a 3-point lead over his Senate challenger, Representative Beto O'Rourke, ahead of next week's midterm elections, according to a new poll. Cruz leads O'Rourke 50% to 47% among likely voters. So before I go on with this, here's another thing too. This is another really good thing. Apparently part of the criteria in which they determine who is a likely voter, they actually ask if you voted before. So that takes part in whether or not, that's part of whether or not you're actually determined to be a likely voter. So this is a poll of likely voters. That means, and there are a bunch of young people who have not voted before who are going to vote for Beto over Ted Cruz. So not only is it a razor 3-point margin, but on top of that, this is a likely voter poll, and there are probably thousands, tens of thousands maybe even, of young people who haven't voted yet who are going to be voting for Beto O'Rourke, which makes this all the more amazing. Now, it says the poll of 781 likely voters in Texas was conducted October 28th through 30th and has a margin of error of 3.7 percentage points. So that could flip either way. It says the poll shows a somewhat tightened race compared to a previous Emerson College poll released in early October, which found Cruz with a 5-point lead. So, as I stated, the deficit between the two is actually shrinking. It's been going down. So this is a clear precedent that has been set. It says the survey released Thursday is the latest, showing a tightening race ahead of next week's election. A University of Texas at Tyler poll released the previous day showed Cruz with a less than 4-point lead over O'Rourke. Other polls published in October showed Cruz with anywhere from a 5-point to a 10-point advantage, according to Real Clear Politics polling index. Election handicappers at the nonpartisan Cook Political Report rate the race as a toss-up. So this is going to be an election that comes down to the wire. I mean, please, if you're in Texas, right, not only should you go out to vote for Beto, but you should, really, really get as many people as you can. If I were in Texas, I would be so hyped to be a Beto O'Rourke voter. When Bernie Sanders was primarying, obviously I couldn't vote. But I really did my best to convince as many really family members as I had who could vote to vote for Bernie Sanders, and I was successful in a few of them. And so I would be getting so many people to get vote for. Please, guys, if you're in Texas, get people, not only you, but get other people to vote for Beto O'Rourke. This is going to come down to the wire. Your vote is worth a ton. Okay, my vote, I'm a Californian. It's not worth shit. It ain't worth anything. Your vote right now is worth a shit ton. So please use it, utilize it, go out to vote on November 6th. But again, I have to reiterate, don't just focus on yourself going to vote. Get other people to vote too. Your friends who can vote. Make sure your family. Don't get into fights with your family if they're crazy politically. But, try, I guess. But really, this is going to be... Could you imagine how dope it would be to have Beto? By the way, this isn't even a Doug Jones situation either. I mean, Beto's like he's a legit progressive too. He supports single payer healthcare now. I think he supports a different plan than Bernie's. I'm not sure which one. Maybe it's a UK version. I don't know, but there are a lot of different versions of single payer. But just yesterday, he called out corporate Democrats and how they're pandering to the rich. This guy is the real deal. This isn't Doug Jones, who's who sucks. Okay, now in comparison to Roy Moore, the dude is basically Jesus, right? But in a vacuum, essentially by himself, not so good. Beto O'Rourke by himself is very good. So it would be so awesome. And on top of that, the cherry on top of that, we'd be getting rid of Ted Cruz. Ted Slimy Cruz. You know how shitty Ted Cruz is? Nobody likes Ted Cruz. Nobody likes Ted Cruz. Not only that, but he's a coward. Trump made so much fun of him, made fun of his wife, said his dad killed JFK. He still, remember the meme picture where he's phone banking for Trump and he's looking like, oh my God, it was so embarrassing, getting booed at the RNC. Oh my God, it's bad. Everybody hates him. John Boehner, I forgot what John Boehner called him. He called him some like piece of shit or something like that. John McCain fucking hates him. Everybody hates him. Everyone. Anyone on planet Earth hates this guy. Anyone who's worked with him at least hates him. And of course, anybody with two brain cells rubbed together hates the guy too because he's a complete asshole. But man, oh man, I'm really hopeful Beto wins. Again, go out to vote November 6th. Get people to vote for Beto. We need to win this election.